Success. Media. Network. 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 Network.
This is your show.
Good day, successors. I'm Antonio Holman, and welcome to the 4 Principles of Success number 22, where I chat with successful people about how they enhance their businesses and lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. Today, we're talking to Jim Palmer. Jim is located in southeastern and eventually parts unknown Pennsylvania, and is the author of Decide, the Ultimate Success Trigger, a marketing and business building expert, and in-demand coach. He is the founder of the Dream Business Academy, as well as Dream Business Coaching and Mastermind Program. Jim is the host of Dream Business Coach TV, the hit weekly web TV show watched by thousands of entrepreneurs and small business owners. Jim is also the host of Stick Like Glue Radio, a weekly podcast based on Jim's unique brand of smart marketing and business building strategies. In addition to Jim's current successes, he is known internationally as the creator of No Hassle Newsletters, the ultimate done-for-you newsletter marketing system used by hundreds of clients in 9 countries. Jim, are you ready to help our listeners prepare for success?
Antonio, I am, sir. Thanks for having me on your program.
Excellent. Great. So, Jim, you sound like a very, very busy guy, which is probably really good. But how about you give us a little glimpse into your personal life?
So, actually, as you and I are recording this, I'm about 2 weeks away from our 37th wedding anniversary. Got 4 kids, 3 grandkids. We have a cat, which now lives with my son, Steve, since I don't want a cat on my boat. And we have a rescue dog, Blue, 75-pound black lab. And, you know, my wife and I are going through a pretty major change in our lives where we figured we've done everything safe up to this point. And so we sold our home of 28 years and we bought a 50-foot boat, and we're going to be living on that boat. And I'm going to be working on that boat, and we'll be kind of up and down the East Coast.
Wow. All right. So I'm going to stop you right there. Whose idea was this?
Well, 3 years ago, we bought our first boat. It was a 30-footer, and it was great for weekends, and, you know, we'd spend a week on it. But to live on a boat, you need something much bigger. But the fun thing is, and I think this is God's way of looking out for me, it was actually Stephanie's idea. She came home about a year ago when she was still working and said, I think it's time for an adventure. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? We're going to go for a hike or something? You know? She says, no, I'm ready to retire from my job, and I think we need to go do something. And we didn't know what that was. And we actually binge watched HGTV, Caribbean Lifestyle, and all these different shows. And then she goes, hey, wait a minute, we love boating. Why don't we live on a boat for a couple of years? And I'm like, sign me up.
Wow.
So took about a year to put everything in motion to get the house ready for sale. It's unbelievable how much crap you accumulate in 28 years, and you know, had to have a few rooms painted just to do all that, and then to find the right boat, and then now we bought the boat in December. And being in Pennsylvania, we experience winter. You know, we're not San Diego, so we had to find a short-term rental, which had furniture, because all our stuff went into storage, and so we did that. And now we're about 2 weeks away from moving on the boat and throwing the lines and taking off. That
is incredible. Wow, that's going to be an adventure like every day, basically.
It is every day an adventure, and I'll tell you, I've been on this learning curve because I've just been really blessed with some success, Antonio. But the last few years, I've really, even though my coaching business continues to grow, I kind of felt maybe on autopilot, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And when we started planning this, there are so many what ifs. And my biggest what if is I didn't want my lifestyle to impact my clients at all. So I had to figure out, how will I always have internet no matter where I am? So I figured that out, a little technology, and so no matter where we are, if we're out and not in a marina, I'll always have internet, which means I'll always have phone. And so it's one thing after another, and it's very fun, but it's also tests you a little bit.
Yeah, to totally change your way of life, and yeah, that is a huge test. And lucky for us, the technology is a beautiful thing right now.
It is, yeah. We basically stuck an antenna high up on the radar arch and got this little gizmo from Verizon called a jetpack, which actually acts as a wireless router. So as long as I've got any cell signal at all, this antenna has a booster in it, and it'll boost the signal, and I'll be able to connect to the internet. And believe me, I don't plan on going where I can't see land. So if I'm running up the coast of New Jersey, I'll still see land. I'll be about 2 miles off, and I believe I still get a cell signal.
Cool. All right, for those who may not know, in a nutshell, can you tell our listeners what you and your company and your brand does to help business owners, entrepreneurs, and people generally who are craving success in their lives?
Well, what I do now is I've structured my business so the 5 internet companies that I started, I have 13 virtual assistants that basically run those. So those run day in and day out, and I don't basically do anything. So what I do is I've structured my life the last 4 years where I work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, generally from 8 to 6, doing coaching calls with my mastermind members. And I also do interviews, but they generally happen Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then that's really how I'm having a big impact right now, because I've been able to teach a lot of people how I've grown, multiple businesses and created multiple streams of revenue, and how I've been able to set up a business that will kind of serve the lifestyle I want instead of always being chained to a location or a specific job or a clock, so to speak. So that's really what I'm doing. And the other companies I have, like you mentioned, No Hassle Newsletters, No Hassle Social Media, Concierge, Print Mail on Demand, Custom Article Generator, and I think one more, I'm forgetting the name of it. But those are helping small business owners, with their retention and attracting new clients as well.
Do you really feel that your business that you're offering to people is actually one that really focuses on helping show people how to become free in their world and their lives, but still conduct their business? Because it's you living on a boat, that's like the prime example you can show.
It really is. I've branded, I'm branded myself the Dream Business Coach. I created the Dream Business Academy. I have the Dream Business. So the whole dream business part, and part of, what I believe a dream business is, it's one that will give you financial freedom and also time freedom so that you can live the life that you want. Now, I've been at this almost 16 years. So again, I don't believe you can throw a quarter at the curb and pick up $100 bill.
Right.
It takes a while to do that, but how you do that, how you brand yourself, the positioning you have, your pricing, the marketing you do, all of that leads to eventually having a business that allows you to live life on your terms.
How did you initially get into this type of business?
So when in 2001, I started my first company, and I was writing and designing newsletters for local businesses, chambers of commerce, and nonprofits, associations. And 5 years later, I had about 22 clients, so I was making money, but I had no freedom at all. I was doing everything. I was just completely overwhelmed, and I was also quickly feeling like I was hitting some sort of a ceiling, so I wasn't going to be able to keep growing. And that's when I discovered internet marketing, somewhere 2005, 2006. Really immersed myself in that for a year. And then I launched my second business, which was now one of my primary businesses other than coaching, and that's No Hassle Newsletters. And that's when I started creating newsletter content and done-for-you templates that people could use to market and grow their business and increase their retention. So that really took off. And then I created the Print and Mail on Demand. Then when social media came, I got pretty good at that. And one of the things that holds people back is not lack of ideas, but lack of time. So they don't know how to find the time to create some really good, engaging blog posts and copy and Twitter tweets and things like that. So that's what No Hassle Social Media is. And then we have a company called Custom Article Generator. We'll write an article on any topic and include keywords and things like that. So when I started being known for creating one company after another, people started asking me, how are you doing that? And that's really the starting point to my coaching program, which I've been doing since 2009.
Wow. And that sparked in your mind, you're like, hey, I can turn this into a business showing other people how to do this. Yeah.
I could either, people, there's an expression which I've really grown to dislike, but it's just part of common vernacular, if you will. It's like, hey, can I pick your brain? Can I take you to
Yeah.
coffee and pick your brain? Well, you can pick my brain. You can pay me for my knowledge.
True.
I don't mind sharing. In fact, that's what I view doing interviews like this as a way to share some really good information.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I don't get on the phone unless it's a pre-scheduled call, and I'm usually booked, at least 7 to 10 days in advance. And so that's just the way that I've been able to grow my business. So, when you're trying to, what I say is, if you want to get from point A to point B, find out who's already made the trip and just ask them what was the quickest way. How have you done that?
Yeah, and the information you're providing here on this show, this is only skimming the surface. And man, you have a wealth of experience and knowledge. I've noticed when I was doing the information beforehand, and this is good. Jim's a good guest for the show, Successor. So take notes if you can while you listen to this, and experience his business as well. What was your first entrepreneurial venture, and how old were you?
I was 42 when I started my first company called Dynamic Communication. I've always worked for entrepreneurial companies. I started work when I was 15. Worked at a small bicycle store, and I ended up spending almost 25 years in the bike business. So ultimately, we franchised a bike business and took that to 80 stores in 18 states. That was kind of a fun ride. So, yeah, I've always been. I always knew I'd be an entrepreneur, but I have a big family, but when I was 40 or just turned 41, I was VP of marketing for this local company, and suddenly found out my position had been eliminated, as they say.
Oh.
Yep. And I had 4 teenagers at home, and I really didn't think that was the best time to start a business. So I started looking for my next position. And a year later, I was still unemployed, and just for good measure and to add a little bit more stress, I was diagnosed with stage 2 cancer. And so I went through that for about 3 months. And I was actually laying on my couch recovering from my surgery when I saw September 11th happen, and that really took any available job prospects right into the crapper. I mean, that was a pretty scary time in our country. And in October, there was nothing more for me to do other than just take control of my life and start my own business. And even though I was broke and heavily in debt at that point, I just started my first business.
Yeah, and that leads me to the actual next question, which was the time where you felt most unsuccessful in your life. And I would imagine that was the time right there.
That really was it. I mean, it's a long time in the past. And, when I'm doing my event, Dream Business Academy, I share a lot about those couple years, because even when I started my first business, Antonio, I would often tell people instantly, when I got my business cards, I had nothing else, but I ordered business cards. I instantly went from feeling like an unemployed loser to the founder of my own corporation.
Oh, yeah.
I had no revenue, but my mind. So that really was. Now, it took me a full year. My first year in business was revenue free, as I like to call it, which means it took me a whole year to get my first client. But the lowest point in my life was after my surgery. I did have a job prospect. I thought I was going to be hired by this chain of musical instrument stores to franchise their business. I had met somebody, and through a long kind of curious route, they said, "Hey, we'd like to franchise our business. I know you did that in the bike business." So we were talking about bringing me on board and franchising their business. So I was like, man, get myself healthy, get rid of this friggin' cancer, and then I'll really get pursuing this gig. And I followed up with them after September 11th. They said, yeah, we might still do it, but it's going to be a few years. We're not going to be investing anything until we see, how this whole thing's going to shake out. That was the lowest point in my life right there, because now, I mean, my God, I just faced my mortality. I had no job prospects. The country was like swirling down. I remember Congress at the time put another 6 months of unemployment insurance in because it was just such a horrible job market. And that really was the lowest point for me.
Wow. Yeah. I remember that whirlwind of a time, and man, it affected everyone. Well, mostly everyone. Yes.
Yep.
What do you feel was the one hardest thing in your business to overcome, but you've since conquered that?
Learning how to be a speaker. You know what? But there's a broader topic which all of these fall in under. It's learning how to conquer the fear and the little voice in your head that says you can't do this. And so when I started my coaching business, I had some success. I'd already created multiple six-figure businesses, but I really wanted to have a big coaching business, and it was a little slow getting started. And but as I was looking at other people in the coaching business, I saw they were out speaking a lot, being on stages, whether in front of 50 people or 500 people. They were doing their own 3-day seminars. They were writing books. They were doing all this different stuff. And the little voice in my head at the time was like, man, you barely got out of high school. What makes you think you're going to write a book? Or, I really had a fear of public speaking like 90% of the free world. I didn't really want to do my own seminars because I didn't know, wow, can I really get up there and teach for 2 or 3 days? Do I have the, 20 or 30 grand it costs to put on the event and just hope people come? So there's all this stuff going on. And the turning point for me is something I mentioned to you right before we got started, Antonio. My 7th book is called Just Say Yes. It'll be out May 15th. But I relay a story in Just Say Yes. I called it my most embarrassing moment. So I joined this mastermind group, which had other successful coaches in it, more successful than I was for sure. And one of them took me aside on a break. And I'm really grateful, first of all, it was that he didn't do it in front of everybody. But this guy, he had a multi-million-dollar coaching business, and I really looked up to him. He took me aside and he said, Jim, let me ask you a question. And I thought, man, he's going to give me some good advice. And he goes, so I know you want to have a successful coaching business, and I know what you're doing in marketing, but I also know what you're not doing. And he says, I have a question for you. What makes you think you're entitled to the same level of success as other coaches or even people in this room that you emulate and admire, yet you're not willing to do the same things that they have done and continue to do to grow their business? How does that work for you?
Wow.
Antonio, I promise you, I could feel my ears turn red. I mean, I thought I could melt ice cubes on my ears. I was so embarrassed. But it really turned out to be a very eye-opening moment for me. That meeting was in California. I flew home. It was like a 5-hour flight. And I was like so ticked off at myself. How dare I be such a weenie or a wuss that I'm not willing to do these things? And somebody calls me out and just tears me up and down. But I promised myself that was never going to happen again. And I did a lot of things. I actually described part of this process in my book, Decide. I started doing a lot of things to overcome some of my own fears and trepidations and what I call the demons. I've started kicking a lot of demons to the curb. Today I can get in front of any group of people almost on a moment's notice. I run my own live events, multi-day events where I teach day in and day out. So I was able to kick all those demons to the curb, and my business has been blessed as a result.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that story. Yeah, it's good. Now, sometimes coaching can be a challenge. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
What was the most challenging client or client-related situation you've had, and how did you resolve it?
I fired him.
Oh.
So, here's the thing. I still obviously I take my role very, very seriously, but I mean, I was like 10x where I am now when I was starting. And what I came to realize, and through the help of other people, like I mentioned, you can't be responsible for the results. I can give you like untold ideas. I can take you by the hand and say, we're going to do this. I will even have my team do some of it. But if I can't get you to do some of the hard work that only you can do, you're not going to have success. And early on, I'm like, man, I know this person's not doing well, and it was really bothering me. So I've done a couple things. There was one person in particular who wanted to start a business holding like weekend retreats for men and having experiential outings. So not just a seminar, but a seminar that might include climbing a rock wall, really kind of having a good time, being with other men, doing things that might challenge you physically, but also learning. It was I actually kind of like the concept a little bit. And I said, the only way for you to do that is to do your first event. And I said, it doesn't matter to me if you have 2 people there or 4 people or 6 people. You've got to have your first event, and you've got to do a really, really good job. You'll probably lose money. Who gives a crap? But you're gonna get your first event, and you're gonna get 2 or 3 people or however many people come to give you a testimonial, and then you get right away and you start doing your second event. And he goes, well, where am I gonna get my first clients? I don't have a list. I said, get out your phone. How many contacts do you have on your phone? He said, like 98 or something. I said, well, start there. Oh, I'm not gonna call my friends. Okay, well, then what are we talking about here?
Right.
How badly do you want this business? We went around for a couple months, and I was actually getting tired of it. Now, I appreciated the cash flow because he was paying me, but I was also getting frustrated. And I said, this is now my line, and people know that, here comes they call it tough love. So I said, I need your permission to speak candidly with you. Right. And he goes, yeah. And I said, no, I'm going to really give you some tough love, and you're probably not going to like it. But so that's why I'm asking your permission. It's kind of it's like taking a piece of velvet and putting it over the hammer, so to speak. Right? And I said, you know why you're not willing to do these calls and get your first event off the ground? He goes, why? Because I don't like calls? I said, no, it's not that. That's the beginning of it. But I said, you've got a beautiful wife who has a kick-butt job. She's making a lot of money. You live in a nice home. For you, a day in and day out, to go to your home office and not make those calls, there's no repercussions for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're not hungry. You're not scared. Nothing's happening to you. I said, the people who really pick themselves up and do well, they're like, where's my next meal coming from? God, I'm 3 months late on the mortgage. And I don't want my wife or kids or spouse or whatever to think I'm a loser. I said, I don't even know if you fear that. But I said, until you get some fear and until you get hungry, you're not going to make it. And, we parted ways shortly after that.
Yeah. It gave him a really good wake-up call that, to me, and probably to you, was extremely obvious.
It was extremely obvious,
yeah.
And it was. I don't know, where he is now. I don't know if he's occasionally telling the story I just shared with you as his most embarrassing moment. I hope so. It needed to be said, and hopefully he bounced back from that.
What one thing in your business are you currently struggling to overcome?
I would say, if anything, the time factor. But, that's just, I think I'm actually, to be honest with you, Antonio, I'm trying to give you a good answer. I run my business essentially 3 days a week. There will be a point where I can't take on any more clients, but that's okay. I make a decent living. Those 3 days a week are also when I do interviews. And so to the point where I'm booked solid with coaching clients, I just start doing less and less interviews. And so I've got a ways to go before I'll max out. But it's a constant balancing act, if you will.
Yeah. What do you feel is your one business triumph to date, your biggest one?
The biggest triumph, I have far surpassed what my initial goals were. When I started my business, I just wanted to be able to pay my bills and pay my debt down. And so, a really good question also is, well, what keeps successful people going after they've achieved a certain level of success? And I think it's really important that you have it's called a big why. You need to have a reason why you're doing this. And the reason most people keep going and work harder and keep making more of a difference is when you transition from, well, okay, now I'm paying the mortgage and maybe I'm debt free, but look at what I can do now with the success I've attained, right? So not only do I continue to put money into our retirement, so I don't have to worry about putting gas in my boat and things like that. I don't want to be a greeter in Walmart when I'm 90 years old.
Right.
So we're doing that, but my wife and I also support a number of local charities, and we think that's really important to do. And the more we wake, the more we give. So, I think when I call it a big why, most people will work harder for someone else or something else or a cause other than they will for themselves. because if my goal was simply to put more money in the checkbook, after a while you reach a point where, yeah, I could use more money, or I would like more money, but I don't need more money. And so you have to have something other than that keeps driving you.
Yeah, something bigger than yourself that drives you forward. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
All right, hang tight, successors. We'll return to our conversation with Jim Palmer, as well as quick success after a word from our sponsors. Are you a busy person who works day in and day out? Do you find yourself feeling tense and tired all the time, with stress and sicknesses controlling your life, possibly creating a sleep disorder? You know about all the current health topics but don't find the time? Maybe Cedric, Patrick, and Philippe at Bellison can help. Aside from creating modular supplements that can fit your very own needs, you can visit Bellison.com for tons of recipes, health-related articles, and more. Why modular supplements? Modularity is the key because you are not just standard. With standards as high as Bellison, you're buying from a company that helps take care of our environment, doesn't harm animals, and whose products are made of high-quality, premium plant-based ingredients in every capsule. That's Bellison.com. Did you know that you can cook healthy, exercise, and meditate in just 30 minutes a day? Bellison.com. From recipes and supplements to exercise and life hacks to be healthy, Bellison.com has it all. After Bellison, just imagine the immense possibilities you will have as the new you. Go ahead and give Bellison supplements a try. I use them every day, and I feel great, energetic, and focused. Visit Bellison now at Bellison.com. That's BELISAN.com, and receive a 10% discount on your first order with coupon code THE4POS. So give them a shot. Compassion and quality without compromise. Bellison.com. And we're back with entrepreneur, author, speaker, and coach Jim Palmer of Dream Business Academy and much more. Now we get into the part of the show I like to call Quick Success, where you, Jim, can inspire the successors to enhance their lives and businesses in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. All right, Jim, what are you currently doing to enhance your knowledge?
I read. I have cut down the number of seminars I go to, but actually just last night, somebody offered a video recording of their seminar, so I purchased that. And what I'll do is usually on a Monday or Friday when I'm not busy on phone calls, I'll watch that. But now I'll just watch it from my boat or something else instead of me flying out somewhere and, doing all that. So anytime you feel like you know it all, or you don't need to keep learning, it's a very bad sign.
No, absolutely. Never never stay in the room when you're the smartest guy in the room.
That's right. Find another room to go into.
You got that right. What are you currently doing to enhance your health?
Well, I'm doing a lot, actually. So last summer, kind of into the fall, I really hurt my back. Come to find out, I had a couple slip discs, so I went through physical therapy, ended up getting a couple of injections, and I've been going to a personal trainer 3 days a week now for almost 2 months. Got another few weeks before we go on the boat, but I work with a guy called Andrew, who's the owner of Fit This Way, and he is getting me in the best shape of my life, actually. But it's funny story, Antonio. So I said, when are we gonna work on the biceps? He goes, those are glamour muscles, Jim. I'm trying to strengthen your back, strengthen your core, get you healthy, so you don't hurt yourself on your boat. And I say, okay, good point.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and my wife and I are eating really, really well, and I'm exercising, like I say, 3 days a week, and so anyway, that's what we're doing. And obviously with my cancer, I stay out of the sun and wear a lot of SPF clothing and big hats and lotion.
Yeah, you bring up the boat, man. I cannot wait to see some video of your boating adventures. I'm excited.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll just share this, and I'm going to share because it's not business related. But a lot of people are interested and curious, and Stephanie and I decided we started a blog. So we named our boat Floating Home. So it's Our Floating Home. So we started a blog called OurFloatingHome.com. www.ourfloatinghome.com. So if people want to see what's the boat look like, or what's it look like driving it? Right now, there's probably 10 posts over the last 2 months because it's winter and there wasn't a lot going on. But when we take off on our second day or third day, we're going to be actually going through the New York Harbor. So we're going to be doing a lot of videos. We'll see the Statue of Liberty. We're going to document our entire journey. So if people want to follow us and check it out, it's ourfloatinghome.com.
All right, Jim, what are you currently doing to enhance your wealth?
Well, we started working about a year ago, actually, with some really good financial advisors. I'm a good revenue generator, but I don't know squat about stocks and bonds and things like that. And honestly, I mean, from my story, you can figure out for most of our lives, we didn't have a lot. And then when I lost my job, we quickly lost whatever savings we had and went into some pretty serious debt, keeping us afloat. And then the early years of my business, but we've made up a lot of ground in the last several years, and we found some people that we really, really trust. They're really, really smart, and so we're just letting them take care of business. Yeah,
that's one thing that's really important to life that most of us as Americans we have no clue about is finances and investing and things like that, which when you step out of high school on that cold, hard ground and you have no idea about investing in finance, you're really lost. You're lost without a clue.
Yep.
And that's actually part of the reasons why I've created this. So that's one thing I'm really aiming for, teaching a lot of people in the world.
You can make, and you know what? It's always, I mean, there's an example out there. It says if when somebody's born, you put so much money away and never touch it, it can grow immensely. Mm-hmm. And if somebody's like 21 or 18, if they were like to put away $5,000 or even $1,000 when they're 70, they'll be a millionaire, that type of thing. Nobody does that. For a lot of times you don't have money or there's college or whatever, but it's when you think about that, I mean, if you want to solve Social Security and some of the other ills that are our government and that people, you know, as far as retirement, if the government, which is us, but if there was like $1,000 taken out of your paycheck and you'll pardon my French, you'll bitch and whine for a little while, but then that is put away with that term Al Gore used to use, lockbox. It's put away in a lockbox. When you're 65 or 70, here's your $1 million now. That should last you 30 years, right?
Yeah.
But most people don't do that. And there's a lot of things you can do. And anyway, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's what drove me to get Tony Robbins' book Unshakable. And I've got the audio and the hardcover. So I'm going to hopefully have all that information sink into my brain unknowingly.
Well, that's good. And by the way, it pays to know something about what's going on, but really what you want to do is you want to hire experts who know so much more than you, right? So
Absolutely. What are you currently doing to enhance your spirituality?
Well, I belong to a weekly Bible study. You know, we go to worship every Sunday. I read scripture every day. So, and you know, we're it's a big part of our lives. So, I mean, we're always a work in progress, but that's one area of my life I feel pretty secure in right now.
Pertaining to success, what do you feel is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received?
This is it. You will earn significantly more for who you are and not what you do. You see, I'll say it again because it's very profound. You will earn significantly more for who you are than what you do. It's not about the deliverable. And I don't care if you're a coach, if you're a landscaper, it doesn't matter if you're a lawyer or a dentist. You can be the best at what you do from a skill set standpoint, but if nobody knows it, it isn't going to work. It's all about the branding and positioning. I mean, when I started my newsletter business, there's a lot of people who can write, design, and I was a self-taught designer. I got some, I learned Quark Express. I barely get out of high school, as I say jokingly, but it's probably almost true. I skipped more English classes than I attended. I'm a pretty good writer, right? So, but I branded myself the newsletter guru. And so when people are asking, who does newsletters? Oh gosh, that's Jim. He's the newsletter guru. He's the newsletter guy, whatever they said. So I guarantee I probably made more money producing newsletters than a lot of people who went and got their degrees, right? And as a coach, there's a lot of business coaches, and some may be better than me, some may not. But I've created a program called the Dream Business, because if you even my mentor Dan Kennedy said, if you're going to have a business, you might as well have a dream business, which I thought was incredible praise. And so what the message there, Antonio, it really is about the branding and the positioning and how people perceive you. When I had my cancer, we just didn't go down to the hospital and say, yeah, I got cancer. I need to find me a surgeon, cut it out. We did a lot of research, like who is the top surgeon for melanoma in the Philadelphia area. And that's ultimately who we went to. So when people are going to part with their money, they're going to find out who's the best at this, who's the best at that. And that's the starting point. Yep,
that's it. That is it for sure. Are there any modern technologies or apps that help you achieve success?
This is always a hard one, because my kids will say, hey, what do you got for apps on your iPhone or your iPad? I said, well, I got Gmail. I say that somewhat jokingly. I now have a ton of apps for my boat, tides and weather and all kinds of stuff. But for my business, my team, I have a project manager who oversees all the team members, and they use something called Highrise and there's a project management tool, Basecamp, I think it's called. And because I have writers in 3 different countries, I have designers in 2 different countries, I have team members in at least 3 different countries. So Basecamp is something that she uses to always track who's doing what when. So because a lot of things go together, the newsletter can't be done until we have content that's being written. The designer has to put it together. When those are done, they need to be uploaded into the membership site. So those are probably the piece of software that we use the most.
So right now, you still have a steady newsletter that you put out.
Yes.
How often are you releasing that newsletter?
Well, I do an e-newsletter right now, but my business is a print newsletter business. And so we put out a newsletter which has a lot of content every month.
Wow. So you put both newsletters out at the same time?
No, I do my e-zine every Tuesday morning, and I do my the print newsletter comes out the first of every month.
Wow, that is cool that you're actually still doing print, because that's becoming extremely rare.
Well, I don't know if you know much about deliverability and inbox rates, but the only way to get 100% deliverability of something to your customers is to use print.
Yeah, absolutely. Once they check that mailbox, it's in their hand. Yeah,
that's right.
What new thing, book, activity, technology, or skill are you excited to learn and dive into?
Good Lord.
Could it be boating?
It's going to be boating. I was going to say, should I give a boating answer? Yeah, it is boating. The interesting thing is with a boat like this, and we can actually go offshore. It's got radar, and I got to learn how to read a radar. So I turned that radar on when I got the boat in December, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. I mean, is that water or is that land? I think it's important to know that.
Yeah.
So got to learn how to. There's a lot to learn. And my wife Stephanie went to a 2-day course on how to read charts and plot your course. Obviously we're taking this seriously.
Wow, that is so cool. I'm still blown away by that idea. It is really, really good. It's really cool. Man, you're taking the whole dream business thing to a whole nother level. That's really cool.
Well, you know what? It's fun. I mean, I don't think we would do this just for the marketing of it, but it's not lost on me. I think it's important that you walk the walk and talk the talk. I mean, a lot of people, I'll be 59 this year, and, a lot of people start thinking, well, should we downsize to a townhouse or what, well, we could do that. It's probably a whole lot safer. I'll tell you the last thing, if you want to really improve your financial picture, the last thing in the world you want to consider buying is a boat. But you know what? Life is to be enjoyed, and it will go by very quickly. So that's why we're doing this.
Yes. As far as helping our listeners achieve success in whatever it is that they're doing, what's a good piece of advice you could give them?
Gross is for net. Gross is for vanity, net is for sanity. So it doesn't matter how much you make. It's because that's only bragging rights. Hey, I got $1 million business. Well, that's fine. But if you're only netting 50 grand, I can tell you easier ways to make 50 grand.
Yeah.
So gross is for vanity, net is for sanity. It's all about what you keep.
Man, I like that. All right, successors, as a special offer, Jim has something for you. Jim, what's that?
I'm going to give you a free copy of my book, Decide, which whether you're an entrepreneur or small business owner now, or you're a wantrepreneur, somebody thinking about it, this is going to be the most important book you will ever read, because this is going to give you a checkup from the neck up, as the late great Zig Ziglar used to say. It's called Decide, The Ultimate Success Trigger. You can get a free copy of that book at decideforsuccessbook.com, decideforsuccessbook.com, and you'll just pay $6.95 shipping and handling. Even if you're listening to this in another country, we will ship it to you for $6.95, and it's an amazing book. So get it, but read it. Don't let it sit in your to-be-read pile too long.
Awesome. All right, you heard it right there. Free book, free copy of his book, Decide. Go to decideforsuccessbook.com. Finally, Jim, how can our listeners connect with you?
www.getjimpalmer.com, getjimpalmer.com.
All right, successors, I hope you've enjoyed my conversation with Jim Palmer, and be on the lookout for his upcoming book, Just Say Yes, and his houseboat adventures at ourfloatinghome.com. Please check out more successful content like this at the4pos.com, as well as other ways you can find podcasts, because they're all over the place. Go ahead and rate and review as well. Thanks for listening, and prepare for success. Thanks, Jim.
Take care.
If you want to be more driven and more motivated in your life or business, go to the4pos.com/free book and grab a copy of my book, Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within. 25 motivations of personal development and life success. Get it now at the4pos.com/free book. Again, that's the4pos.com/free book.